Hi everyone. In this episode, you're going to learn about a company reinventing our roofs and turning them into a source of energy by installing solar-powered tiles and innovative facades that generate electricity without having to install traditional photovoltaic modules. My guest today is Lech Kaniuk. Lech is a repeat entrepreneur who first founded OnlinePizza in Poland. That became part of Delivery Hero and IPO'ed in 2017. After the IPO, Lech was on a trip to the Canary Islands with his brother, and they saw the potential for turning roofs into a source of energy and provide homeowners with a clean energy source directly embedded in their house, instead of mounting unattractive-looking solar panels on top of the tiles. Their solution has been installed more than 1,000 times by now and has been successful in places that you might not immediately connect with sunlight, like Sweden, Norway, Germany, and Poland. It's been proven to provide enough power for people to support the entire energy consumption and even generate a surplus. The company went from 10 employees in early 2020 to about 130 employees today, and they just raised 15 million euros in a new funding round. By the way, last time I checked, they're looking for a COO to strengthen the top management team as they expand to new markets. Listen to this episode to figure out how the team at SunRoof is rewriting the rules of an industry that has not been reinvented for a long time. And stay until the end to hear the learnings Lech grows from this experience and the previous one in online delivery startups, which can help you as a founder, business operator, or investor in the climate tech space. If you enjoyed this podcast, please follow us and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and share the episodes with your friends and colleagues. It would massively help us and help them. I hope you enjoy my discussion with Lech Kaniuk. Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Nathan Pomart and this is Loose, the Climate Tech Podcast. Every week we interview a founder and explore the stories, ideas, innovations, and businesses behind some of the most inspiring climate tech companies that have a tangible positive impact on our planet. This show is designed to help you learn, instigate optimism, and inspire further action towards addressing the climate change challenge that we face as a global community. If you are an entrepreneur, business leader, or investor interested in learning more about the climate tech space and how you can play a part in it, this show is for you. So, Lech, welcome to the show. I'm very excited to have you on. You are a repeat entrepreneur who previously built in non-climate tech related space, and I'd love you to give us the context around this. And now you decided to tackle the topic of helping people lower their energy bills and consume more planet-friendly electricity by installing roofs that are effectively solar panels. And this is going to be fascinating to dive into it. So first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'd love us to start with you sharing the moment that you basically got excited about the opportunity that you are pursuing now, and basically why did you decide to go out and build SunRoof?
The moment when this actually happened was when I met with my brother at Gran Canaria. I had exited from Delivery Hero and was discussing with my brother about what to do next. My brother is a construction engineer and he came up with a way to build roofs out of solar panels, basically. And he said that, well, maybe that's an interesting idea to pursue. Maybe we should do something together and this would be the one. And I got very, very excited actually, because if I look back in my career, both in Delivery Hero, but also invested and was CEO for a ride-hailing app, I kind of always gravitated towards trying to use my position as a company founder, a leader, to steer the business such that we can actually have a positive impact. So the ride-hailing app in Poland, I was actually first to implement electrical vehicles, a Tesla, as a taxi. I tried to do electrical delivery and with Delivery Hero. This was very early. So today, you see all of these electric scooters and so on. But that was back in the days when this was not really so common. So when my brother asked about me joining SunRoof, I just realized that every cell has actually a positive impact. So it just became so much more meaningful. And we discussed quite a lot about that, and there's so much more than just the solar roof part, so much more that actually has a good impact. And so I just got so excited about that. I remember we were visiting, actually my mother lives in Gran Canaria, so we were visiting our mom, and we discussed, and that was a very exciting moment when I kind of realized that joining the company would actually be a company where finally I actually can have an impact with every sell we do.
What do you mean by every sell that we do?
So, I mean, if I look back again, so with Delivery Hero selling, pizzas or sushi, I mean, that's fine. You people need to eat, and you make revenue. And then you were searching for, okay, let's do the delivery in a more sustainable way with electrical vehicles or with a taxi. But here, when someone purchases your roof, that's actually going to have a positive impact on the environment. So the bigger the company grows, the more revenue, that actually means that we have a bigger impact also on the environment. So every roof we sell has a positive impact on the environment, and that's super exciting.
And when you got excited about the part of having a positive impact, that was clearly a big component of your excitement. How do you think about how big this company can get? Is that also something that excites you? You built a big company in the past with like successful exits. So is that something you're looking for here as well? And how do you, in your head, paint the vision of how big can this possibly get?
So initially when I discussed with my brother, I was thinking, okay, but how many roofs do actually people build? And it doesn't seem as a very exciting market. But then going into, the how many roofs and how many square meters of roof is actually built every year, and you have roof renovation, so there's a lot of things happening. So then you kind of realize that, just the roof part can actually be just in a few countries, a multi-billion dollar company or billion euro company. I quickly realized that the company in the core business itself can have a very attractive growth story. But what was very exciting about the company and the idea was that, after we have installed a couple of roofs, we realized that the roof on a traditional house, even in Sweden where we started, can actually produce more energy than the house need. And that was super exciting to think more about. So can we do something with that? Can we become something more than just a solar roof company? And then we thought, okay, what would happen if we could trade the energy? And let's try to make as powerful roofs as possible. Because earlier, or still today in many places, when you think about solar power or solar panels on the roof, you're just thinking about having a few panels to decrease your electrical bills.
Yeah.
There aren't really these thinking about, let's produce as much power as we possibly can. But we want to shift that. And the thinking regarding that is, okay, let's try to do something with the energy. Maybe we can sell the energy so that the roofs can actually start to produce more and more, not just for the house, but something else. And this something else, the first thing that actually became quite obvious was electrical vehicles. Electrical vehicles wasn't really something, in just 5-6 years ago, it was only Tesla. Today, it's more obvious that there's plenty of electrical vehicles, and this is the future. So if your roof is producing more energy than the house need, you actually have the power for your vehicle. So suddenly your roof can actually provide with the energy for your sustainable life and living. That became just so much more compelling. Our roofs are a building integrated roof, so it's both a roof and the PV installation. That just looks much better. We have less materials is used to build the whole installation and the roof, so you also have a lower CO2 footprint on the kind of building itself, and that kind of just made me so excited about, a future where you have this sustainable life and living without compromise, because you can have a beautiful house with a beautiful roof without these ugly panels on top. It can actually look very, very good. It can look good and produce a lot of power. And, if you look at the vehicles, like they also start to be very exciting to drive, and they look really good and so on. So that kind of just, we spent more time, and the further we go, the more exciting we get.
So in the future, every house will have an energy producing roof. That is your...
Yeah.
So if I take it to the extreme, that is the vision, and we will look back and we will think why wasn't this like this before?
Yes.
Like how did we build houses that had energy consuming or energy consuming roofs
Exactly.
instead of energy producing? And the thing that you mentioned that I wanted to pause on, because for you it might seem obvious, but for the preconceptions around where does solar work, it's nuts. You mentioned that you started in Sweden, not the country known for the highest amount of sunlight. And if I'm not mistaken, you're present in other Central European countries, also not known for the most amount of sunlight. So tell us a bit about where are you geographically present, and how the hell does this work, that you can have a house in Sweden producing energy from its roof, solar powered, and still it's more than what the house needs?
Well, we started in Sweden because we are from Sweden, and that was just convenient. But it's true. I mean, even in Sweden, we get sun. So the difference here is basically that we use the whole surface of the roof. And when you come up to 120, 150, 200 square meters of a solar roof, then you get sufficient amount of solar cells placed on the roof, so they can actually produce, even if the amount of solar days are less, or solar hours are less in Sweden than Spain or some other countries. And we started to grow from there to Poland and Germany. We have delivered roofs in Norway and Denmark, and we plan to expand further in Europe, and we also have a pilot in the US. Our thinking is basically that if you have a choice between having a roof that doesn't produce energy, that is just a cost, and a roof that would produce energy, but even if it's less, but it still does, it will have a value. And the real estate, a house or a building, usually is in a long-term investment, and the time frames are fine, even on the north side in Sweden. So yeah, I think basically we're kind of switching the thinking about it, that why wouldn't you use? And I think it's correct what you mean, and this is also what we think. Why would you put a lot of solar panels on the ground and use acres of land to have these massive solar power, and then you have dead roofs not producing energy in the city where you actually are consuming the energy? So we think it makes a lot of sense. And actually, if you look at European Commission, they actually have a project called Repower Europe, and solar roofs are actually a part of that, which the plan is to make solar roofs mandatory. So we will actually, the vision we envisioned ourselves, that every roof should be a solar, will actually be accelerated by these things. So we do think this makes a lot of sense. And when you can manage the energy and shift surplus energy between buildings, then you get this so-called virtual power plant. And I think that's when everything starts to make a lot of sense, to really use the energy where you produce it, and you should produce it locally.
At technical and scientific level, how does your product, how does your roof work? And is it reliant on technical innovation that happened recently that made it cost effective to build, solar energy producing roofs?
The previous, I think, wave of building integrated solar roofs that haven't really taken off has been a lot based on so-called thin foil or thin film solar, which is quite expensive to produce. They're low efficiency. So when you get a product which is very expensive and low efficiency, then obviously it just makes more sense to use traditional solar panels. The approach we actually did was, since we didn't have a lot of R&D budget to develop a high-tech new solution, then I think that kind of made us create this solution where we use traditional solar technology. So we're basing our technology, the solar cells are traditional monocrystalline silicon-based solar cells, which are using on traditional PV farms or top-mounted PV installations. That makes our roof to be very powerful. And since this is a mass-produced product, then we can also be very price competitive. And the innovation is actually more on the side of how you build the roof out of these modules so that they don't leak and they don't overheat, so they work. And that's the innovation, basically. So we take a traditional high-volume production solar module, which is slightly customized, but there's not a high amount of innovation there. And we apply it in an innovative way that it actually is the solar panel and the roof tile in the same way.
And this is an innovation at the installation step of the process, or this is an innovation at the product assembly step of the process to make what is, let's say, solar PV look like a beautiful tile that you can put on a roof?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of, I would say, components of the roof that needs to come together so it works. The installation, yeah, you could say it's a partial product and installation innovation. But in terms of the solar cells itself, that's not where the innovation is.
But where are you today in terms of number of customers, number of projects delivered, and where are you trying to grow in the next step of the company?
We are soon completing our 1,000th roof, so roof number 1,000, which will be quite a big milestone. And we are still focusing on Sweden, Poland, Germany, but the plan is to continue to grow in Europe, especially since we're here. And then we have the pilot in the US, in Texas. If everything goes well, I think we will be the largest, hopefully, player in North America and Europe in terms of building integrated solar roofs. That also provides something more after we have installed the roof. Yeah, so that this would be kind of where we are. You can say we started to grow the company in beginning of 2020, so we're quite young still. And we should soon be at the velocity of building actually 100 roofs a month. So I think it's going quite well.
So what is it that you do in-house, and what is it that you partner with potentially, installation partners or distribution partners? So what is the part that SunRoof does, and what is the part that you are building a network of partners to help you get your products to market?
We always start in every area to do everything ourselves, and that's to really learn everything and have high amount of control of the whole process. With time, then we shift and we acquire roofing partners or construction companies that can build the roofs. And since the construction is not very different from a traditional roof, it's quite fast to onboard these partners to actually be able to build the roof themselves. And then we are more the kind of sales machine, let's say, and we do the sell. We have a software we will actually launch next week or next month, sorry, something called My Sundesk. So that means that the customer can actually log in and he will have all of the data there in terms of his contract and also follow the whole process of getting the roof delivered, like a package from Amazon or something. So every step and scheduling, material delivery and scaffoldings and construction start, construction end, everything will be scheduled. So they will have quite a lot of visibility of what's really happening. I think this will be very unique. And after the installation in My Sundesk, I will see the energy production, and then the whole virtual power plant there, everything will come on top of that as we progress with this product as well.
One thing that your product changes completely with regards to, let's say, the customer's relationship with its roof is that in the traditional version of having a roof is just something you install once and you don't think about it anymore. Whereas you're talking about an app and a monitoring engine and something that you get updates about on a regular basis. So does that mean that I guess I'm trying to get at, what is your pricing model? Is this a subscription type of model, or is it still a one-off sale where there's no ongoing monthly fee that is sort of going to SunRoof?
Honestly, I never thought I would get so excited about roofs that as I am
Me
now.
Me neither.
But yeah, I mean, the potential to do different business model innovations are there. And one thing we are working on is to give the customers a financing solution. Now, there are a lot of financing solutions for traditional PV panels, and that's much easier because it's top mounted, so you can take it off. But with our solution, it's a building integrated part. So it becomes part of the building, and that makes everything a little bit more difficult, I would say. But we are on, I would say, good track to launch this year a financing model. And our ambition is actually to have people to be able to get a SunRoof with €1 only upfront payment, and then the roof is actually paying off itself with the energy it produces. And this is not only very exciting because it would make, the business case for anyone that would like to invest in a company so much better. But what excited us even more is that actually we would make solar become much more accessible for so many people and organizations and cities and everything, because today there's a lot of people that can't afford it, or cities that don't have the budget for first renovating a roof to then put PV panels on top. So I think this would be really, really cool to pull off, because we would accelerate actually the solar adoption with this solution.
Yeah.
So definitely.
Let's dive a bit into the persona that is your target customer. You mentioned so many different types of stakeholders, from cities to, I guess, private collective buildings to individual houses, where I guess an individual could make a decision about changing or specifying the roof when they're building the house. So where did you decide to focus on? Who is the type of person or persona that you are targeting that takes the decision that, you know what, we're going to install a solar powered roof as opposed to the traditional one?
So wherever we start, we always start with going for traditional residential, private people, families with a house, and they want to have a roof renovation or a new construction, they're building a new house. The reason why we start here is that this is the fastest, I would say, to deploy SunRoofs and get a project in an area so people can go and see, and then we expand from there. Now, our product today fits better for certain types of roofs than others, and we see a few categories, I would say, beyond the kind of traditional B2C or the consumer, the private people with houses. And one of that is bigger housing cooperatives, bigger multifamily housing. So that's one category. But we have also farmers, which is a very interesting actually category, because farmers, they have roofs that are very similar to a traditional house, but much, much bigger. And so this is quite similar to what we do in the residential part, but just 10 times bigger. And it's super interesting. We actually delivered a sunroof for a pig farmer just a couple of months ago, and he said that he chose us because we could fit more power on his roof than top mounted. And the reason is that we can, with building integrated, you can also fit solar to the edge. If you have top mounted, you can't build to the edge because you have winds and tugging in the panels, and that can kind of destroy your roof. So it was a bonus, but he said he wants as much power as possible because he has so much energy consumption. So we want that. So this was a pig farmer. I think we actually did a delivery for a church a couple of months ago as well. So, power and energy from above. That was also quite interesting.
And what is the quick math that, I guess people must compare, like how much more expensive is it to buy from SunRoof compared to another type of roof? And how much can I recoup that in the lower energy bills that I will have? So, how should we think about the equation that people who adopt your solutions probably go through in their head?
On a regular basis, we are between 10 and 15% more expensive than a roof plus a PV installation. If you would put, a similar sized PV installation on top, sometimes we're the same, or sometimes we can actually be slightly cheaper. It all depends on the size of the roof and area and many other things. But I would say usually we're slightly more expensive. But then you also get a more premium product, and the premium is on the one side lower CO2, but foremost I think the aesthetic. So if you look at how especially a new house would look like with PV panels on top of it, it doesn't really look so good, and you see that all the time. The roof is really visible, and with our product it blends in. It looks so much better. So people are really prepared to pay that little bit extra. In that sense, we're not very much different from traditional PV panels. If you would calculate, the PV part of a sunroof and then top-mounted PV, the difference is not really big. It might be, 1 year, 2 years difference in terms of payback. but not much more than that. And this is why we also want to have this financing solution, because that would mean that you would have really good investment with €1 you get a SunRoof and it pays off itself. So hard to compete with that.
Like you said, I'm getting quite nerdy about roofs and how you get people to adopt them. And maybe we can touch a little bit more on how you go to market, how you get your solution known. I mean, you mentioned that you do the sale directly, which surprised me because I imagine that this is a quite intermediated category typically, where the manufacturers of tiles are not necessarily pushing their product to the end customer. So you're doing something different there, I imagine. And what are you testing at the moment?
Yeah, we do. So I think the direct approach just gives us so much more input from the ground, from the customers, and we understand the customer much better and the process, and that helps us to develop our own softwares for sales and operations, and that will obviously be used later to kind of expand and also work more with subcontractors and other distribution channels. But I think also the direct approach has proven that we can grow much faster that way and show people the way, and then kind of have people join us than try to push our product through channels that are used to sell traditional materials, for example, or traditional panels. Or in one channel, it is, if we were to take roofing companies today, they are not selling PV panels. This is PV companies doing that, so it's completely different. There is some resistance in the beginning because there would be electrical wiring and other stuff that they haven't been used to. They're used to sell by the piece or by the square meter, and now you have an electrical design you have to read and install. So I think pushing through wholesalers and stuff like this would just be too slow. And I think we've proven that, because when we look at our competitors, our three main competitors in the area are smaller than us. We are bigger than our three competitors combined. If we look at the how many roofs we did and the revenue we had last year.
In which area? How do you define that area?
So so we are in Sweden, Poland, Germany. So I would say Scandinavia and Poland, Germany. So if we look at our main competitors in the region here, the direct competitors, we are bigger than them, and that kind of proves that this direct approach has a lot of value in the beginning.
Got it. So by direct competitor, you mean people who offer also a solar building integrated roof?
Exactly.
I would imagine, but who decided not to go direct.
Exactly.
Okay. Fascinating. What is the makeup of your team today? And what roles are you looking to build further to accelerate your company's growth?
We have quite diverse, I would say, team. So I'm a lot from the online digital background, and we have other entrepreneurs that are also in the company, which is very much online. And this is good when we work with our platform and things like this. So we have IT team programming this platform. Then obviously construction. So there's a lot of people within construction because building a roof is a lot about construction, right? But there's also the PV installation and batteries and stuff like this. So we have also electrical engineers and this part. So it's a mix of digital, electrical, and construction people coming together and trying to build a company that can both sell and deliver roofs to customers in a very good way.
You mentioned digital multiple times, and I haven't yet asked you to elaborate on this. So again, not something that you typically think about when you think about a roof company. So what is the nature of the platform that you're building? How does that fit with the vision of the company you're building?
So since we have this product, which is not inactive piece of material tile that we can sell with a piece or square meter or so, it's actually something active and it's solar. So if you have a chimney which shades, you need to think about string layout. So there's a lot of these things that you need to take in consideration. And also the calculation, depending on the inclination of the roof and the orientation of the house and everything has an impact on how much energy it will produce and thus also the ROI for a customer, how fast it will kind of pay back. We created a tool first that is a a way for our salespeople to create offerings to the customers in a fast way. So this is the first part. But then after we have sold it, we need to then deliver the roof also in a good way. And to have that seamless so that sales talk with the operations people so that they know what to deliver and the budgets and everything and what we actually have sold. That has caused us to create the second part of Sundesk, which is our software. And that's the operational part. So it's basically, a project management tool for the construction people and engineers and everyone that needs to prepare. And it also has an interface for roofers so that when they work on the roof and they have a progress with it, they kind of check boxes that they have done this and that. And all of this data is now being soon presented to the customer so they can actually have everything in one place. So they will get the offerings, then they can sign the agreement online, they can follow then the schedule of the roof, see the progress and everything. And when the roof is done, then it starts to produce energy, and that's when the fun starts, right? So then we want that this Sundesk, this interface for the customer is there for them to kind of follow on. And that's the whole digitalization of the process. And that enables us also to be better on forecasting, understanding, doing, prediction models, doing automated scheduling of different things so that we can have a higher rate of optimization of kind of easy tasks that the software can do, and spend more time with the customer and making sure that we are delivering a roof with quality. And that's why we want to digitalize that. But that also enables us to work with subcontractors and make sure that they are actually working in the same way, doing the same steps. So we have a kind of a quality control through the software, making sure that they also deliver the way we want things to be delivered.
Like you mentioned, and we mentioned in the introduction that you had previously built a company in the food delivery space, and now you're building in the let's say building materials part of the climate tech ecosystem. So the question is, how, as a repeat founder, do you approach this new project? How can you compare and contrast the two in terms of the market dynamics you're operating with? And is there any learnings from that comparison of experiences that might be worth sharing for other founders who are operating today in the climate tech, in building materials space?
Well, there are so many differences, obviously, but there are also quite a lot of similarities. And I mean, one thing is to be very, make sure that we are delivering a product that people want, and make sure we deliver that with quality and listen to the customer. I think not spending too much time to have the perfect product, but just ship and fix it if there's something wrong. And I think this is a general thing in every business to really, have this, let's call it the product market fit, right? That people really want to buy it. And another similarity that I would take from every business I've been in and every business that I can think of and seen, there's two metrics always that we always need to track and try to optimize. One metric is the customer acquisition cost, and the other one is the customer lifetime value. And you want, obviously, the customer acquisition cost to be as low as possible, and you should always work on ways to kind of get the price for customers down. And then you have the lifetime value, and that you want to increase the lifetime value. So in our case, if I would compare with Delivery Hero, which acquired Glovo, so if you have used that service, you will get recommendation to your pizza to maybe have a Coke to that. And that's upselling and increasing the average basket size, which averages a higher revenue, and you get more commission. So that would increase the lifetime value. But in our case, it's more like, okay, if we can help the customers to monetize the energy that the roof is producing and the customer is not using, then they can actually make more money on the roof, and we can maybe install bigger roofs or more power on the roof. If the roof is producing energy always, then that's going to create, a recurring revenue model, and that would increase the lifetime value also of our customers, because we would help them monetize that and also make something on the way. So basically trying to get customer lifetime value up and customer acquisition cost down, and that would probably be the two things that always work for any business to be healthy.
Yeah, and climate tech doesn't escape this fundamental reality of business. And if you want to scale, you need to get that right. Lech, thank you so much for going with us into the details and the intricacies of building roofs and reinventing the way people power their houses. It's been super interesting. I would love to have you back on the show when you have a lot more things to share. I'm sure soon. And in the meantime, I wish you and the SunRoof team good luck for the exciting month ahead.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. Happy to come back soon.
Thank you, Lech. If you enjoyed this episode, drop us a note and let us know what you thought. To find out more about SunRoof, visit their website sunroof.se. Finally, please follow us on your favorite podcast app to find out more about other inspiring climate tech companies, and spread the word. Tell about this podcast to your friends, to your colleagues. This would massively help us and inspire them. See you next week.